Hey, have you been wondering how you make a song? What goes into making a song? What happens with all the different layers? How do they all combine? Well, today I'm going to be doing a track breakdown of the dub mix of Like a Dream by Louise Burns. It's going to be really interesting just showing you how all these elements fit together. So let's check it out. Hey, how you doing? My name is Damien Taylor. I'm a 6-time Grammy-nominated record producer, mixer, songwriter, and all-around studio collaborator. I help artists turn their ideas into finished records. We're going to be having a look at a process that I did with an artist called Louise Burns. A good friend of mine worked on a lot of her records. She's based out of Vancouver in Canada. But what makes this particular version of this song interesting was after we had finished her whole album, Portraits, a good year or so later, a nice series of events led us to get the green light from her record company to make a whole bunch of alternative versions, basically dub versions that kind of showcase the instrumentals. And we wanted to really bring like a different sense of space to this record. So these are all actually being released at the moment. They're all going to be compiled onto a release called Silhouettes. So the album is called Portraits. This one's called Silhouettes. But yeah, we'll dive into having a look at how I put this dub together. It would be a great idea if you wanted to see the full version of the song. We'll have a link below so you can go over and check out the kind of original version. And otherwise, if you have any questions about stuff that we're talking about on here, I stream 3 times a week on Twitch. Streams from my studio, so you're welcome to come on there and ask me any questions at all about music production. So should we dive into it? Okay, so here we are back over in Pro Tools. Similar thing to the original version of the track. You can see all of the different layers here. We've got drums at the top into kind of like bass and low instruments on up through all the different layers, and then vocals are here at the bottom. This is like they're more like instrumental, largely instrumental dub versions. So what you'll notice both in the vocals and across a ton of this track is that there are huge chunks where parts have been grayed out. So that gray thing basically means that they're muted, they're switched off. When you see the original version of the track, for example, these guitars are playing the whole way down. So making the dub version, and we can take dub with a pinch of salt, it's inspired by dub music, but a bit of a different style, the whole dub thing of just like stripping something back. So yeah, you can see we pulled a lot out, and to get kind of the space feeling right, I'd changed the drum mix a little bit. There's a few less drum layers happening, but why don't we just like run into the verse and kind of see what's going on. So actually straight away, sorry for any clicks, by the way, that's just the computer catching up. There's no clicks in the record. You can hear here where everything kind of like comes in. I think I may have actually flown over this sound from the very end of the track. But in the original version, like, this was full of quite a few layers. It wasn't too heavy duty, but really we're wanting, again, going for the space in here. So into this verse, so we get the same elements that hit on the downbeat of the verse. We got the guitars, but straight away then we've kind of switched off all of the other layers here. Now what I did was I made a parallel track, these guys here, called dub guitar. So anything I dropped onto these channels would process the guitar through like an extra bunch of echoes. You can see as we actually move on here to like different parts, you can use it quite strategically. So that's just a normal guitar sound there. So see here how like this is fading in across that chord. The original dub masters would be doing all of this live, but they'd also, be a simpler multi-track kind of thing, shall we say. And as I didn't have the hands-on control in here, I wanted to just like get a lot more kind of compositional about the way these are working. We have so many different layers going on. So what's happening? Then we have one more kind of dub hit here at the end of the pre-chorus. And also what I've done here is like just reverse the electric guitar. So you get it kind of playing out. Let's just solo these 2 channels here. just to help us kind of go whoop into the chorus. Let's have a listen to that all together. And, you know, I've also done stuff in here where originally the drums just kept playing through. So a lot of the thinking behind these dub versions was just how do we create space, create moments of just, you know, one thing ringing out on its own, get the dynamics flowing a little bit differently. But again, the whole thought is like immersive, immersive, immersive. So, you know, there's like a snare layer that doesn't come in on the chorus, some percussion stuff that doesn't come in either. Previously, like all these gray things were playing up there. What I wanted to do was just like really let the kind of the pads and the chordal stuff in here come up to the front. I mentioned on the original version that this sound here, this was off Louise's original demo, and it really set a lot of the tone for how the track came together. So in the full version, that's still in there, but then there's a guitar riff that dances around the vocal through there. So it's nice just to pull away the kind of main focus layers and then just let the kind of feeling and depth layers breathe a bit more. And that's similarly like just, you know, we don't have like the big snare layers, so you just hear like this kind of ASMR layer happening, coming through a bit more. Like our little re-intro. So these chords are like this piano layer in here we're playing. Matt Robertson played this for us beautifully. Previously, this piano was just sitting in behind the guitars that were doing these main chords. So instead, guitars are off, piano's on its own. We've got that sitting nice and far forward. You can hear how like there's those whooshes kind of coming off the back of it there. So those are just like sends off to different effects. If you want to know what a send is, just come onto the Twitch stream, ask me. This won't be a full how to mix breakdown or anything, but just showing you the way the different elements work. Now, verse 2, this is going to be our moment to really let that guitar shine. Coming in that second half there. A little bit more vocal pulls. And we're letting the guitars carry on through there. But now, see this first chorus, we had, let me just pop those tracks back down there. On the first chorus, sorry, there's a key command for this that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. We had the guitar. Doing that kind of little whoosh around. Second chorus, we're going to do a bit of a different move. Very, very, very simple, just a gap, and we let the bass kind of go donk donk in there. But then guess what happens? We pull out the bass in the chorus. You see the basic technique we're doing here, two layers that used to play at the same time are now doing a call and response. So this is like a Prophet 6 that Matt Robertson played that was kind of layering the guitar part before. Here it's leading it. So we're really like pushing that texture all the way to the front, whereas before it was a supporting layer. Side note, I got to dig out Verify, which is kind of the tape stop plugin, which I haven't used for many, many years, but it felt like a good thing to use in this context. So this is the kind of pad layers. And then again. So yeah, there's a few clicks in there. There's some that are just from playback. some are, hey, we're doing a dub, and those all sit kind of behind drum beats. So let's just hear that kind of call and response again, and then see what happens when we go into the bridge. And again, no bass. And hear how we have this big snare layer in here? Like that's normally in the first choruses. So having the bass out through that chorus kind of creates a space for it to just like land back in on the bridge. This was kind of an interesting thought because really what happens in the original version is that the lead vocal is kind of building up and then we have this huge vocal stack that comes in. So I was kind of wondering like what can we do to land into the bridge, land into that key change in a different way. So it became important to shift up the pacing. Shift up the kind of pacing and flow and also the frequency content through that chorus so that we could kind of let that low end arrival have a bit more impact. And again, we talked about this in the full version, but this song is called Like a Dream. So it's not about like impact. Do you know what I mean? It's really things want to kind of like flow and it just wants to be super immersive. Actually worth noticing here, see this Inst Dub A auxiliary track? This is kind of the effects returns that are coming back from the guitar echo. And see how we just faded that out there? That wound up getting sent to a reverb. So it's an echo, echo, echo gets whoosh, sent off into a reverb so we get a nice cloud, but then it pulls back, lets the cloud kind of drift over the change into the bridge. But we're killing the echo so that, again, there's room for that kind of musical shift to happen. You can see, you know, a few others of the synth layers have been pulled out. There's like this counter melody that comes in normally. Is that on these guys? Oh, that it still comes in there. Like it's like really kind of bass and like higher stuff that's happening in there, whereas in the original it's kind of like kitchen sink that kind of grows a little bit more. So we're kind of saving a couple of those broader layers until later on. It's the first time I've opened up these sessions since I did them, so I'm refreshing myself a little bit as we go. Just using a couple of lines off of the harmonies, the lower harmonies there. We're using a couple of lead things right at the end here. So let's see what happens with those lead vocals. Actually, worth saying is that this is just the double of the lead, so we're not getting the full lead presence. So that's just to kind of give a little tiny hint of the lead vocal melody, and then you can see here we get the full lead coming back in. Did you notice off this one here we have, was it off this one or the harmonies? We got quite a big bit of vocal delay happening. Oh, okay, sorry, I sent that from another point. It's from the whole vocal bus that gets sent up to the delay channels. All right, so that's what's happening with the vocals. Anything else of note in the instrumental? Actually, you might be interested to see this. Like, you know how there's, again, check the original version where you see all the kind of bass layers that we combined together to get it nice and thick. There's like an amp channel and a DI channel. What I did through the majority of this was switched off those layers and just stuck with the DI bass, which I would have tweaked a bit, but just keeping it just like really nice and round and simple. Again, trying to leave these higher frequencies really open. Let's see how the amp is sounding here. So you can hear that amp's got a little bit more definition, but that is also very quiet in there. So that's with the amp on there, and then off. So it just gives a little bit more detail and string noise. So those subtle things kind of add up a bit. Again, it's all just about opening this track up, giving it a little bit of a different presentation. What else is going on? Yeah, I think, we let a couple of different percussion things happen at different points in time. Pulled out some of the kind of higher end programmed hi-hats and stuff, like, you know, this guy that's normally in right from the start. These two normally come in with the full kind of bass and music entry, just keeping them out for the time being, kind of holding them in reserve when we start off. And yeah, I mentioned this, but I copied over this sound from the end of the song, just to kind of set the scene a little bit differently. I think this is the only bit that I moved, really. And you hear that whole move there as well, where it just goes whoosh and gets thrown off into a reverb. Again, not trying to do like overly heavy, impactful changes, but it's really like getting the scenery changing, getting the kind of textures, especially through the mid-range, the sense of perspective coming in and out. So that's our dub of Like a Dream. Listen, I hope this was useful for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, a reminder, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitch. These are all streams from my studio. I'm basically spilling the beans, sharing everything I've learned, everything I've figured out in my decades of making records. I've also recently launched a platform called the Complete Producer Network. This is an online message board, kind of community center where you can share ideas, everything about the entire process of being a music creator in the modern era. So that's everything from more metaphysical stuff like productivity, mindset, how you think about things, career strategy, but then going through all of the actual technical steps, songwriting, engineering, production, programming. There's topics in there where you can share your work, exchange ideas, get people's fresh ears on there. Then it's also a great place to meet collaborators. And I do also offer some very kind of in-depth courses, but come on over to Producer Network. It's a good vibe. Otherwise, just pop into my stream anytime on Twitch. Again, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The times are on there. They'll get converted into your time zone, so you'll see what time that's happening. And we'll see you in the next one. Yeah, please do subscribe to this video. And if you didn't see our video on the original version of the song, again, there's a link for you to go and check that one out. Okay, thanks for hanging out. See you soon.